All right, folks, so today we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to be checking out the new Apple Watch Ultra Titanium Milanese Loop that was introduced alongside the Ultra 2 Black as their new ultra-specific, ultra-premium band option, along with their Trail Loop, their Alpine Loop, as well as their Ocean Band. So in today's video, we're going to unbox it. We're going to take a really up-close look at it, of course. We're also going to talk about how they achieve this look and finish. We're going to see how it looks on the Ultra 2 Black, and we are also going to go a little bit rogue and see how it looks on the Series 10 Titanium. So for the box itself, this is going to be pretty much similar to other Apple Watch Ultra bands. So there's really not much different going on here. All right, there we go. So going along with the dark theme, they also have this like dark themed cardboard right here, which is the same as the Ultra 2 Black when you're unboxing that. All right, so for the band itself, so it has a little pull tab right here. Pull that. All right, has protection on the inside as well as the outside of the band here for shipping, so it doesn't get scratched up or anything like that. Pull this out this way, right there. That's a little sticky. Then lastly, we have a little bit of cardboard in the center to protect the two pieces from rubbing together, again, during shipping. So here is the band itself. So for the material itself, so this is the same aerospace grade titanium that they're using on their Ultras, where it's a titanium wire that's actually woven and then flattened and then kind of polished into this like mesh that takes a lot of inspiration from like the material that they use for divers. So the band does come in two different color options to match the particular Ultra that you have. So they have a natural version as well as this black version that I have right here. And then they also have three sizes, a small, medium, and large. And this is the medium size, and I have 185 millimeter circumference wrist. So we'll have to see how that fits exactly. But this is going to be full titanium hardware here from the attachment points all the way down to the buckle. So this is going to be corrosion resistant, and they actually did say that it's designed for scuba. They actually said it in their presentation. And then for the buckle itself, so this is what they call a parachute style buckle, where it's supposed to be really secure. So you can't just like press on one side and it'll accidentally release. You actually do have to press on both sides right here, and then it'll release. And then for inserting it back in, they said that it's supposed to have like a nice audible click when you reinsert it. So that's pretty clicky and pretty satisfying. But for the band itself, it does have a really smooth finish to it. And one thing I forgot to mention too is that this is a carbon neutral band where they're making this out of like 95% recycled titanium. And again, it is going to be non-corrosive since it is titanium. Oh, and if you're curious about where the name Milanese comes from, so that's named after the town of Milan in Italy, where these kind of straps are known for this mesh pattern, where this design can be traced back to something like the 13th century when it was used for like chainmail to like protect you from swords and stuff like that. But this design style is basically about this dense and tight mesh, which makes it feel smooth on the wrist and also protect you from swords. That's totally a joke. This probably won't protect you from swords. All right, so I think it's probably time to go ahead and check out how this actually looks on the Ultra 2 Black, and we're also going to see how it looks on the Series 10 Titanium as well. So I guess just for reference really quick, so this is the black trail loop that I have on the Ultra 2 Black at the moment, and this is currently like my favorite sport band for the Ultra 2 Black, and I think it matches it really well with the dark hardware right here, as well as like this pretty much like completely stealth black band. But yeah, this looks really, really good. But let's go ahead and check out how the Titanium Milanese Loops looks. All right, let's go ahead and slide it in. It's pretty satisfying. Felt pretty smooth, by the way. All right. And then for adjusting this buckle right here, so basically have this little latch on the outside, and you just lift it up right here, and then this will kind of move back and forth a little bit. So it was a little bit stuck right there at the beginning, but yeah, basically it just will move freely then. All right, so let's go and slip this on, see where I need to have it. Oh wow, just about right there. So we're gonna move this back just a hair, push this down, and then we can latch it into place. But yeah, in terms of the actual feel on the wrist, it feels really, really light. And I'm gonna go ahead and whip out the scale here in just 1 second to kind of see how it compares, but it certainly does feel pretty light on here, and it's definitely very, very smooth as well. I think I already mentioned that, sorry. And then in terms of how it actually conforms around the wrist, so I have 185 millimeter circumference wrist, so here's where you can kind of see that little gap right there. A little bit of a gap right there. Now, I'm not typically a fan of fancier bands, but this one, for some reason, I'm kind of interested in it because it's a little bit more subtle than some other bands that are out there. But in terms of how it looks on the Ultra 2 Black, I mean, it really is pretty much a perfect fit in terms of the style right here. The hardware to attach it to the Ultra 2 Black, that's a perfect color match, but you will see like a little bit of shine obviously coming from the band itself, where that does appear a little bit different. And I'll go ahead and show some footage of me in the sunlight right now too with this to show you how that looks. So in terms of using it for sports, so during the day with the watch, you can generally have your watch a little bit looser and you're still going to be totally fine on heart rate accuracy. But for sports like running and cycling, you generally want to move your watch up on the wrist a little bit more and also have it a little bit more secure. So what you can do here is you can just lift up the little adjustment strap right here, move it down a little bit, and then you can move your watch up. It's a little bit more challenging to actually unbuckle it altogether. So if we like unbuckle it, then we adjust it. This is where it takes just a second more just because you have to unbuckle it and rebuckle it, but it's totally fine. But in terms of moving it back down for like daily wear, so here when I had it higher up on the wrist, you'll see that it's like this is the more ideal location where there's going to be more blood vessels for the heart rate sensor to deal with, and that's where it's going to be more accurate. But for daily wear, when you move it down on the wrist right here, so it's going to be a little bit looser. But in terms of adjusting it here, this is where you will have to probably unbuckle it all together, lift up the adjustment strap or the mechanism, push that down, and then put that back into place. So again, after just like a few tries, that buckle mechanism, it's pretty easy to just like insert it. You'll definitely learn that muscle memory right there. But yeah, so that's how it looks on the Ultra 2 Black. So let's go ahead and go a little bit rogue and see how it looks on the Series 10 Titanium that I have over here. Oh, and by the way, with the Series 10 Titanium, for those of you who watched that video, so I tried out a whole bunch of different straps on there. And the one I actually ended up using or liking the most is the Ultra Alpine Loop in the green color right here. And what I like about it is that with the little lugs right here, it kind of changes the look and shape of this Series 10 a little bit. And I found that it really matches the titanium slate color finish right here, but I love this like green color on here. That's, I think, which watch face color do I have on here? So it's the Reflections watch face with the topaz color right here. So I think this looks incredible. So that's what I ended up at the moment with the Series 10. So let's go ahead and see how the Series 10 looks with this Titanium Milanese Loop though. Okay, so inserting it into the case. Super, super smooth. Ooh, that's pretty satisfying to be honest with you. So, all right, so here's the Series 10. And adjustment wise, there it is. Here it is with the Series 10 Titanium. Oh, and you may remember from my Series 10 Titanium video that I chose not to get the Milanese Loop or the link bracelets that are designed specifically for the Series line of watches, mainly because those are made out of stainless steel, and I was more interested in this titanium version, which would be a little bit lighter and probably better for sports too. Well, let's go ahead and do something a little bit crazy and see actually how this looks on the natural titanium Ultra 2 that I have over here. So that actually looks much better than I expected, to be honest with you. Definitely see some contrast right there from the dark titanium to the natural titanium. That looks pretty darn solid. Anyways, so that's an option for you there too, is to have a little bit of contrast. Oh, and then lastly, let's also talk about durability. So they apparently used a similar process on this dark Milanese titanium band as they did on their Ultra 2 Black. And, you know, quite frankly, anything can get scratched, where I think with the Ultra 2 Black, I think it's gonna be most susceptible probably like on the edges right here, since that is kind of like a hard edge right here where if you like knock into a corner or something like that, well, it may get scratched. Mine looks totally fine so far, and I've been using it for, I don't know, I think like 2 to 3 weeks so far, but yeah, it looks great. This band is probably gonna be a little bit more interesting for me though, because, you know, you're gonna be like resting your wrist down on like a desk or other, you know, kind of surfaces and stuff like that. So I'm curious how this is actually gonna wear over time, and if we're gonna see any scratches, and how this is actually gonna patina, because again, nothing is scratch proof. So that's just gonna be something to see how it fares over time with normal use. All right, so first impressions of the Ultra Titanium Titanium Milanese Loop. Well, it's definitely very smooth on the wrist. It feels really, really light. It doesn't really add that much weight to it. The parachute style buckle, I think that will take just a little bit of practice to get actually inserted in there, but the release mechanism, it definitely is pretty secure, where again, I can like press on one side. It's not going to come off right here, where you really do have to press both, and then it'll come off. But oh, and then lastly, we should also talk about if this is worth it. Well, $200 is not a small amount of money to spend on a watch band, but the craftsmanship is really nice on here. And I also looked at some of like Garmin's titanium bands, and those are like well over $200. And then Hermes bands for the Apple Watch, those cost way more than this. Anyhow, there's your first look and my first impressions of the new Ultra Titanium Milanese Loop. And if you found the information in this video to be useful, do me a favor and just quickly hit that like button down below, and also subscribe to the channel for my follow-up with the Ultra 2 Black as well as the Titanium Milanese Loop to see how it actually fares over time. In the meantime, have fun out there, and we will see you in the next video.